Hello, and welcome to On the Turf, hosted by three guys who have never been on the turf. My name is Arjun Ryan.
I'm Camille Mudani. And I'm Ron Patel.
And we have had a great week one of the 2024 NFL season. And with this potentially being our final season of On the Turf, we're going to try and bring on guests as often as we can. And we could not be more excited to welcome Lucas to the show. Co-worker of mine over the summer, come to us from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, but not a Philadelphia Eagles fan. No, Lucas is a Chicago Bears fan. This is a pretty fun season for the Bears. So, Lucas, thank you for coming on the show. We're excited to have you.
Yeah, man, happy to be here, bro. This is sick. This is sick. I'm ready to get into it.
Awesome. So, we had a lot of great, interesting things happen during week one. Obviously, Caleb Williams' first career win. Not a great performance.
I'll take it.
Any thoughts on the performance before we talk about Bears Texans in a little bit?
A win's a win. Caleb doesn't have to do it all, which is good to know. I've never seen our defense and special teams, kind of go that crazy. But like I said, win's a win. I think Caleb will be fine. It's week one game. Take it back, learn from it. Week two, Texans, it'll be nice. It'll be easy. It'll be a masterclass.
I don't know if it'll be easy, but
but we'll talk a lot about Bears Texans at the end of the show. But we want to first start off. Week one's a big time for overreaction. So for the past couple of years, ever since we've really been doing On the Turf, week one, everybody tends to overreact. Is their team doing well? Is their team not going to be good for the season? So let's talk about whether some overreactions are, whether they hold some weight at this point in the season or whether not. Let's start out with the former Chicago Bears, now my quarterback, Justin Fields, starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Unexpected start. Could not be more happy. 17 for 23, about 150 yards or so. Efficient game from Justin Fields. Russ obviously was named the starter going into the season, but it has that cap issue, and looks like Fields may start at Denver. So first overreaction for you guys, overreaction or not, Justin Fields should be the Steelers starter for the rest of the season. Lucas, we'll start with you.
Oh, it's not an overreaction at all. I think Justin Fields is a guy in Pittsburgh for sure. I feel like I've been on the train of Russ really isn't, he's not there anymore. I don't think he's going to be the guy. I think you put him back in that Steelers offense and you're going to get a couple single-digit games or a lot more single-digit games. But I think you put Justin Fields up there, he's at least getting you to field goal range, at least. And I think, give him some more time in the offense, could fall into a groove, see some more flashes hopefully. But I'm on the Justin Fields train right now.
yeah, I think field goals is all they got last week, and I don't know. That's why I don't think I think it is an overreaction to say start Justin Fields the entire season. As a Bears fan, how can you see more of that guy? Like, what was what he showed you not? What was the signs of life from the Bears that makes you think that he's going to be good in the NFL?
I point to
I'm
week
curious,
two. I point to year two. Justin Fields was a dog. Had that offense playing better than it has, quite frankly, in the last 10 or so years. I think if we had that year two Justin Fields paired with, last year's defense this year's defense or even Steelers defense currently, I think a guy that could run out there and make plays happen, use his legs. He was putting up 30, 40 points or 30-ish points a game for that back half of 2022. So I think there are flashes there. They just got to unlock it in Pittsburgh.
I guess. I just think from what we saw last week, Fields, he wasn't hitting the middle of the field. 23 passes to get to only 150 yards. You got really good receivers in George Pickens.
That's about it.
Just George Pickens.
That's just George Pickens.
And Pat Fryermuth as well at the tight end spot. I think Russ
Really good receiver.
to unlock the full, whatever capabilities, potential this offense does have. I think Russ is still that guy. He had a solid season last year in Denver. When you're looking at his numbers, I really don't think that Denver shortcomings were his fault necessarily. I think Russ is still the guy. You have to try him out. You have to see what you got there before you're saying Fields is the answer already.
All right, I disagree with him, but I'm going to let Camille take it, and then I'll just piggyback. Because
I think it's just a reaction. I'm so neutral to both of these quarterbacks, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. I think it's the same result whoever you put in. I guess Fields gives you a little bit more in terms of movement, right? He could break open a few plays. He has a bit of that rocket arm potential, similar to Russell Wilson though. But at the end of the day, I just none of them inspire confidence in me. I think it's a
what the fuck you want me to do? That's a big word.
I'm just start Justin Fields because maybe there's like a miracle world where he develops into like a good NFL starting quarterback in year, what is it, 4 or 5? What are we at now?
I think 5, right? Or 4?
4, I believe.
Four,
Oh,
yeah.
You're 4.
Still early. Still early.
Yeah, time's running out. But yeah, I'm so neutral to both guys. Just go with the youth, I guess.
This Justin Fields should absolutely start the rest of the season. You know what you're getting with Russell Wilson. I disagree that Russell Wilson had a good season last year.
Yeah.
If you look at the box score, Russell Wilson sure had a great season. 26 touchdowns, I think, 8 picks. But in the games he was playing, Sean Payton clearly did not trust him to run that offense. Clearly, Russell Wilson was just taking checkdowns and trying to preserve his stats because that's the kind of quarterback Russell Wilson is at this point in his career. He doesn't have the same mobility. He doesn't have the athletic ability that he used to. Justin Fields, you're going to have higher highs, lower lows with Justin Fields. But you know what you're going to get with Russell Wilson. I think Justin Fields, with this defense, we didn't even see Justin Fields fully unleashed this week. And this defense really controlled the game. All he needs to do is not make mistakes. He probably will make some, but I'm excited to see what he does at Denver. But let's stick in the AFC, go to a different team. Going into the season, I think universally thought the New England Patriots might be the worst team in the league. And they pulled off a very surprising win at Cincinnati to beat Joe Burrow and the Bengals. We'll talk about the Bengals a little bit later. I know, Camille, you have a lot to say about the Bengals and Joe Burrow, but the Patriots were expected to have maybe a top 3 pick. So overreaction or not, the Patriots will not have a top 5 pick in the 2025 NFL draft. Rohan?
I'm going to say it's not an overreaction. I think the Patriots are historically a team that plays hard, has a good defense. And what really stood out to me, though, this week was offensively, their run game looks a lot better than we expected. Granted, passing attack doesn't really exist. I think even with Brissett, even with a lot of young receivers, I think that could grow into maybe something that's palatable, maybe. But the rushing attack is very much there. Ramondre Stevenson looked great. And he ran all over the Bengals. I think he had over 100 yards rushing, sealed the deal for them at the end of the game. So I think that this team, with a solid running game and a really, really good defense coached by a really great defensive coach, probably in Gerard Mayo, I think they can definitely be a team that's not bottom feeders, especially when Drake May eventually takes over that starting role. This offense could be a little bit more dynamic.
Yeah, I think with Gerard Mayo, when you look at the Belichick coaching tree and the guys that have come out of it, I feel like he's the first guy, except for maybe like Mike Vrabel and others that I'm forgetting, who could end up being a successful coach out of that tree, just because he doesn't seem like a pure asshole. Like his teammates respect his players respect him. Right, he seems to have a command of the coaching staff. It just looks like he knows what he's doing over there. And I wouldn't be surprised if he coaches this Patriot team to be a nice, gritty team that plucks off 5 or 6 wins and avoids that top 5 spot. But I will say, just on top of the Patriots, if the running game is as good as we think it may be, right, and that offensive line isn't so terrible, why not just put Drake May out there and let him get some reps, and let him learn and get better and just be ready for his sophomore year. Let him build some rapport with those young receivers. Because what are you getting with Jacoby Brissett? I don't know.
Yeah. I think I'm more on the side of it's not an overreaction I think it is an overreaction that they won't get a top 5 pick. I think the Patriots were not great. I still think they're same Patriots as last year, to be honest. So I guess the way I'm looking at it is I think it was more of like the Bengals suck, right? I think that might be my overreaction or my takeaway from it. I think Bengals putting up 10 points. I think that's frustrating. That's definitely something scary. But I think, Ramondre Stevenson looked great. Running game looked great. I'm a fan of Gerard Mayo. I think he'll be fine. But I think this year, at least, like Jacoby Brissett's not moving the chains. I mean, we say the running game did great, but they had 16 points on a Bengals team that didn't look like they were there. So I feel like, it's a nice little week 1 high for them, but I do think, you kind of get into that, week 2, week 3, especially mid-season. I could see a 4-13 finish out of these guys. But I would say I think they should put out Drake May. I don't think they're going to be good this year. So I don't know why they don't put him in. I don't think they're making the right choice right there. But they might as well get something out of this season.
Yeah, agree with Lucas. I think this offense is simply not it right now. It's not going to be enough to get them there. But this defense should make games close. I think they're going to be in a lot of games, probably not win a lot of them though. Next one, moving a little bit to fantasy football. Saquon Barkley had a big debut on Friday night in Sao Paulo. 3 touchdowns, I believe. What, around 33 points or something like that?
Yep.
His fancy debut in an Eagles uniform. Giants fans across the world, because it wasn't Brazil, probably were just absolutely mauling. Like, there's nothing you can do to just. I feel bad for Giants fans in a lot of ways this season. But anyway, yeah. But Saquon Barkley, will he be the overreaction or not? Saquon Barkley will be the top running back in fantasy football this year. Rohan, I know you have Christian McCaffrey in a bunch of leagues. I'll let you start, given that's the case.
Yeah. It hurts to say that. I think that's not an overreaction. My voice really cracked there. I was choking up. I don't know what's up with McCaffrey. I really hate the 49ers right now
Achilles tendonitis.
For keeping that information out of my purview. Yeah, I mean, if McCaffrey's here, McCaffrey's easily the RB1, but it looks like he's going to miss some time. So, given that, I think Saquon has an easy path to that RB1 spot. I mean, you look at guys who are drafted above him. You're thinking Breece Hall. You're thinking Bijan Robinson. Mm-hmm. Those are great guys. I mean, very talented, arguably more talented than Saquon. But when you look at the offense as a whole, I think Saquon is in the best position. He has an offense that looked really, really great last week. He has an offense that loves to run the ball. He has a great offensive line, and he has an offense that's going to give him a lot of goal line opportunities. And if Jalen Hurts, isn't taking away as many as he was in years past, which I think he might not when you have a dominant running back like Saquon, I think he's well in line to get a lot more of those touchdowns and a lot of receptions as well. So I think Saquon is I think it's a fair reaction to say that he can get RB1 this year.
I agree with you, Rohan. I think, like you said, he's in the best position to do it. Lucas?
Yeah, I think he's in a great spot. I think when he had like over 20 carries, I feel like I'd want to see a little more receiving game out of him. I do think 20 plus yards, 20 plus carries, 3 touchdowns, I think is insane. I don't think that's something you could really keep up pace with. But yeah, I mean, if we're looking at the other guys at the top of that chain, Bijan, I think he'll be great, but I don't know if he's like going to be getting that much as many touches, at least handing on like just straight rushing the ball. I think CMC would be an easy one to kind of take over, but again, injured, so I don't really know about him. I know Jordan Mason though. I think that could be a dark horse. But I think really I was surprised with Alvin Kamara too this week. I mean, obviously the Saints put on a show, but I don't know. I think the usage from him, he got a lot of carries. He obviously was catching a lot of balls, looking like prime AK. So I think that's somebody that I could watch out for as a dark horse for that top 3 position. But I think right now Saquon, as many touches as he's getting on a high powered offenses, might be a lock for that number 1.
Yeah, I don't think it's an overreaction at all. Given his situation, I would not be surprised to see him finish RB1. I think pretty much the only challenger, just off of what we saw week 1, is Breece Hall with the way he was used in that Jets offense. I think if they face an easier defense than the 49ers, there'll be the potential for them to beat up on some bad defenses, and he could have some massive gains that propel him to RB1. But yeah, overall, this isn't really a crazy take to me at all.
Lucas brought up the Saints. Talk about the other team on the end of that trouncing, the Carolina Panthers. For me, thought they were going to be better this year than last year. They looked like the exact same team. Honestly, looked worse than they did last year. Obviously, the Bears now have Caleb Williams, thanks to the Carolina Panthers. So let's talk about the Carolina Panthers quarterback, Bryce Young, that they traded the farm for. So overreaction or not, Bryce Young will not be a starting quarterback in the NFL this time next year.
Yeah, I do not think that's no reaction. I think the question is, will he be a starting quarterback by week 9 or wherever it may be? Because Bryce Young, like I don't like he seems like a great guy. This is like mean spirited, but he is very bad. He's gone off. And he's been that way since his rookie year. And we were expecting, I know some people here were expecting some magical jump where he improved, but he just showed absolutely nothing in his rookie year. Like you could go back and look at rookie quarterbacks who put up bad seasons. They still showed some sparks, right? They showed why they were drafted so high. Bryce Young almost never showed anything, and he has not improved that much. And it just looks like the team has no confidence. He does not inspire them whatsoever. They're playing flat, they're playing dead, and you can't elevate them. So I feel like they cut bait very soon.
Lucas?
Yeah, man, he stinks. He stinks. Bryce Young is not, he's nothing nice. I appreciate him for all the gifts he's given us. Would have sucked if we took him last year as opposed to Caleb. So, I'm grateful for Bryce Young. I think he's he's a great guy. Appreciate all he's done for my franchise. But yeah, I feel like the Panthers suck as well. They're not really going anywhere. I think Bryce, I was just checking up his stats, 13 for 30 on Sunday. That's horrific. So I just don't really see anything with him. Again, I think also, there's been no flashes, or very minimal flashes, or very minimal times where I thought this guy's not bad. I basically haven't seen anything great from him since Alabama, which is concerning. I think also year two, you expect a bit of a leap, but he played terrible. And I mean, you could make a point that Carolina doesn't have a ton of weapons. They don't have a lot of guys out there who could be helping him move the chains. But I mean, at a certain point, you bring back, you got to get somebody. They might have Shadur up there week one next year.
Oh God,
God, doesn't get worse.
Poor Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you kind of, I'm going to say there's no reaction. You kind of hit on it there, Lucas. I think there's, first of all, no one in this next draft class, except maybe Carson Beck, that is really going to open your eyes and say, I'm 100% sold on him to be better than Bryce Young. That's part of it. The other part of it, I think, is that it's still early in the season. I mean, yes, Bryce Young sucked for a lot of last year, but his offensive line still doesn't look good. I mean, two of the weapons that they were just brought in receiving-wise, Xavier Legette, Deontay Johnson, it's their first game playing together. You would say give him a game, at least 2 games, to see whether or not he can truly connect with these guys offensively. New head coach, new scheme. This guy's supposed to be, Dave Canales is supposed to be good with coaching up quarterbacks. He made Baker Mayfield seem really, really good, look really, really good in Tampa Bay. So I'm not willing to write Bryce off just yet. He's the number 1 pick. He'll get a lot of leash. I think he starts again next year. We'll see where that goes. But I do agree that he's not good. He's not good. But I don't think I think it's a bit too early to call him like a complete bust yet.
I'm going to thread the needle here a little bit. I'm going to say overreaction because he will be a starting quarterback. He will not, however, be a starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers.
No,
I think some other team is going to take a chance on Bryce Young. We've seen David Tepper, the owner of the Carolina Panthers, is very reactionary. He got rid of Frank Reich in less than a season last year into his first season. I don't think he's going to do that again with Dave Canales. So at that point, at the end of the season, you're probably looking at a top 3 pick. You're going to have to choose between the coach and the quarterback if it's not working. And I'm inclined to believe he's going to choose the coach here because I do believe Dave Canales.
The quarterback.
No, I'm saying he's going to choose
to keep the coach.
You're going to choose to keep the coach, get rid of the quarterback. And I think Bryce Young may be New York Giant, Las Vegas Raider. We'll see next year how that shakes out.
Just a final point.
Keeps getting worse for him.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I would say it just keeps getting worse for him.
Yeah.
Well, final point, I just don't think he has the physical tools to go to a different team that didn't draft him and go be the starter there.
Let's stick in the NFC South. Stick with young quarterbacks. The Pittsburgh Steelers won, but on the other side was Kirk Cousins, who had an absolutely terrible game, coming back from his Achilles injury. I believe threw 2 interceptions, didn't really have a great completion percentage, was a statue in the pocket, wasn't pushing the ball down the field as we expect Kirk Cousins to usually do. Falcons also picked Michael Penix Jr. with the 8th pick in the NFL draft this year. So, Falcons have playoff aspirations, possible Super Bowl aspirations with the roster they've assembled. So, overreaction or not, the Falcons should start Michael Penix Jr. this season.
I'll go first. I think that's an overreaction. You drafted Kirk for a reason. Unless the season goes completely off the rails and you're looking in week 11, week 12 with a 4-8 record, and your season's really down the drain, I think you got to keep playing Kirk. First game off an Achilles injury. It's going to take some time to get warmed up. Again, this is a week 1 we're talking about. First game with all these new weapons. First game with the new team. He's got to get warmed up. Second of all, you line up against the best defense player in the league in TJ Watt.
Thank you. Thank you for finally saying that. I appreciate that. Yeah. I get rid of this Myles Garrett fucking love I always hear. All right.
Yeah. Okay, Myles Garrett's right there. But TJ Watt, obviously elite. I think it's such a tough matchup your first time out after coming off an Achilles tear. Uh, I don't know. I just think you can take much from this game. The offense did not look good at all, sure, but obviously this wasn't a good situation for Kirk. Ride it out, see what happens. I think he'll start for the entire year.
I'm gonna agree with you here. Steelers defense is crazy. I wouldn't want to face them in my first week. I don't think Kirk Cousins is gonna be as good as he has been past in his career, but you gave him 100 million, $80 million. You gotta see what you have in him for this season. Penix is the future, but not so right now. So I think you should stick with Kirk.
Yeah, I agree. It's tough to make decisions when Kirk Cousins is his first game in over a year. He's playing T.J. Watt in that Steelers defense. On top of that, I feel like we kind of forgot how Kirk Cousins plays. People are like, "Oh my God, he's not moving at all. Like he's a statue in the pocket." That's just how.
Well, he used to be rolled outside the pocket and play action a lot.
Sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if it gets to that as the season goes along. Just working him back into the game. But yeah, just it's an overreaction.
I think it's also an overreaction. I mean, I watched Kirk Cousins for years and years in NFC North carve us up a bit. So I think he's still got something in there. Obviously, off an Achilles tear, it's not the greatest, and I don't think he'll be as good as he was previously. But I think at least this year, this team is his, unless they are like unbelievably bad, which I wouldn't expect. I think it was pointed out they played pretty damn good defense. Tough to get one over on them. Steelers are definitely the kings of these like sub 20-point games. So
thank you.
I think,
That's our MO.
Yeah.
It's be sad. Must be sad having lived that life.
Not sad when you're 1-0.
Yeah, well,
True that, man. A win is a win, bro.
Win's a win.
if you're working with us,
I gotta say, the Bears win last week, very Steelers-esque. I gotta say.
I love it.
Yeah, classic, bro. It's a classic dub.
Yeah.
That was a great win, dude. Come on.
But last one, Lucas, you're very familiar with this quarterback. Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets, he came back, went into San Francisco, and lost 32-19. Rodgers had a couple great plays, including a free play, which was vintage Rodgers. But overreaction or not, the New York Jets will miss the playoffs this year. I'll go very quickly. Complete overreaction. This team is going to be great. Aaron Rodgers looked amazing. This defense is going to figure it out. Let's not forget, this is a team they faced in the 49ers that not only were in the Super Bowl, were in overtime in the Super Bowl, a drive away from winning that game against the Kansas City Chiefs. This is still an incredible team with a ton of continuity, and they're just going to keep getting better. And Brock Purdy has really taken a step, in my opinion. I thought he had a really good game. But the Jets will be fine. That defense will be fine. Biggest takeaway is Aaron Rodgers looked pretty close to form, unlike Kirk Cousins.
Same
Yeah.
as Zach Wilson.
As much as I want to hate on Rodgers, I think the Jets will be fine. I think it's an overreaction to say that. This team is constructed very well, in every aspect of the game. I think their defense left a little bit to be desired. I think Hassan Reddick needs to get paid immediately for this defense to truly be outstanding. I disagree on Rodgers. I think he was fine. I think he's not going to be a needle mover for this Jets team. I think he's maybe a slightly above average quarterback at this point in his career, where he can make good reads. He can, he knows where to get the ball, but I don't think he has the same athletic ability. I think he has the same ability to push the ball down the field as he once did. So I think Rodgers will be fine. He won't hurt this team. But everything else on this team is so good they'll eventually figure it out and make the playoffs.
Lucas?
Yeah, I mean, as much as I do want to hate on Rodgers, and I will.
Why does everyone want to hate on Rodgers?
Should where do you want to start?
We're gonna need to go down that road.
I could get deep. But no, I think I don't know. I think this Jets team is very talented. I think last year they were also. I'm pretty sure they're on the cusp of a playoff appearance. They're at least competitive in a lot of the games they played, and they had some madmen playing QB. Right, but I think I think they'll be fine. Again, Aaron Rodgers will be a solid QB to have on this team. He'll at least again not hold them back. I think he can maybe win a few games for them himself. So I do think Jets will make the playoffs. I don't think they'll be division leaders. I think they'll probably be wild card in there. As for Aaron Rodgers, I think there were he had some throws. He had some pretty good throws at some points in the game. But I thought what was most telling for me was that one, San Francisco will forever own Aaron Rodgers. I think there's something in that air that he just can't get away from. But I also think I feel like my whole life, at least as a Bears fan, I've looked at Aaron Rodgers as like this invincible, you go up against him and your name's not San Francisco, like he'll make some crazy plays happen, right? I don't think he has that ability anymore to like make game-changing plays or game-wrecking plays. I think on a 3rd and long, you can expect the punt.
Yeah, Lucas, just like you, I really wanted to hate on Aaron Rodgers here, and I still will
Everyone
because
wants to hate on Aaron Rodgers.
He's got like they have tons of reasons.
looking at this roster and their schedule, there's too many games that they should win for me to say that they're going to miss the playoffs. But I do think that Aaron Rodgers is not going to be at the level needed for them to win a Super Bowl, which is, I think, a pretty fair assessment of this Jets team, and not at the level for them to win the division either, for that matter.
Yeah. Obviously, live overreactions come in week 1. We'll see how many of these actually turn out to be true. But let's move into week 2. We have a lot of great games coming down the pipeline here. Let's start off with Thursday Night Football. Bills coming off a huge win against your Arizona Cardinals this week. We don't need to do a full postmortem on them. I'm sure we'll talk with the Cardinals soon. But they're headed to Miami. This is a really big game early in the season for both these teams. Could have playoff implications down the line. In Miami, Miami favored by 2.5. Obviously, Buffalo, I believe, split with them last year. Buffalo swept with them last year. Sorry, Buffalo did sweep Miami last year, but these are two different teams than just 9 months ago. Outlook going into this game?
I think it should be a pretty comfortable Bills victory. Josh Allen in general has always torched the Dolphins. I think he wins Offensive Player of the Week 66% of the time that he plays the Dolphins, which is an absurd stat.
Is that true?
Yes, it is. Yeah, two out of 3 times that he plays the Dolphins, he wins Offensive Player of the Week. It's a ridiculous stat. He is their father. By contrast, Tua head-to-head against Josh Allen against McDermott has not played very well. I saw a stat before doing this episode. I think he's at like a 77 passer rating, 6 touchdowns to 7 picks. Only has 1 win, and it was a very bizarre game. So generally, McDermott has been able to scheme very well against an explosive McDaniel offense, but I don't think I don't think they're gonna break through this time. And I think the Bills' offense will move the chains the way they did against the Cardinals and win this game pretty comfortably.
Score prediction?
I'll go like 27-17.
Okay, I'll go quickly. I'm a lot aligned with you on it, to be honest with you. I think Josh Allen's going to have a great game. He tends to always do against the Dolphins. The Dolphins kind of were a little scary in the first half of that game last week. I think they were down like 17-0 or something like that at one point. You can't do that against Josh Allen, this offense. They're just going to get better and better as the game goes on. And, the Bills tend to beat down on teams that don't have a good start. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think the Dolphins are going to claw their way back in, but I'm going to go with the Bills 28-24.
I got to do it. I'm taking the Dolphins. I think that
just move on from this take.
No. I'm sticking with it. Trust me, bro. The Dolphins, Tua's got this one. The Bills secondary looked a little bit suspect last week against Kyler. I think Tyreek and Jalen Waddle finally both healthy for the first time in a while. I think they're going to do a lot of damage to this team. Dolphins defense leaves a little bit to be desired. Their run defense was solid last week. Held ETN to just over three yards to carry. I think they can stifle James Cook, and I don't trust any of those Bills receivers to do much damage. Give me the Dolphins.
Terrible take.
I disagree. I think I got to go Bills. I think that Josh Allen stat is absurd. 66% of the time is ridiculous, right? Playing twice a year. I think that's nuts. I also think that, Dolphins don't have that DNA. I think typically they lose against good teams, right? I mean, they know how to beat down on some bad teams for sure. And they have a high-powered offense, but I think you stack them up against, some pretty, competent offenses and defenses. I think that's where they struggle a lot. And I just can't see the Dolphins beating, any top 5 teams as good as they look against some of these weaker guys.
Yeah. Let's move into the reason why we brought Lucas on this episode. Bears at Texans. The Chicago Bears, we don't really need to intro them too much. Caleb Williams, number 1 overall pick, has all the weapons. Although a couple of them aren't practicing this week. We'll see if Rome Odunze ends up playing this weekend. But going up against CJ Stroud and the Texans, possibly the most hyped team in the AFC. Lucas, I'll just give you the floor. what's your outlook going into this game? How do you stop CJ Stroud in that offense? And does Caleb Williams, is he capable of, elevating this game this early in his career to beat, a potential Super Bowl team like the Texans?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think easily it's the Bears, bro. 21-13
Bears.
on a beautiful Sunday night. I just can't see us losing this game, if I'm honest. I think Caleb was shaky, that's for sure. Caleb wasn't great week one, but I mean it's week one. No rookie ever looks great week one. I think if they look great week one, they're probably not going to be great for the rest of the season. So I think Caleb got all of his misses out, got all of his bad passes out, got all of his indecision out of the way week one. I think week two, he'll rise to the occasion. I mean, you can't have your best game against Will Levis, right? You'll have your best game in a duel, right? So I think it'll be a great game from us. I don't think Caleb Williams will be like fantastic. I'm not saying he'll throw for 300 yards and have this perfect completion or passer rating, but I think he'll be able to move the chains. I think he'll get us a couple of touchdowns, or at least get us in position for a couple of touchdowns. Like I said, I think we'll put up 21-24. And then I think our defense will come in and shut down CJ Stroud. I think Stroud is nice. I don't think he's, I think there's a Pat Mahomes guy that I'm worried about. There's a Josh Allen that I'm worried about against our defense. You even bring back prime Aaron Rodgers. I'm worried about the demigods, right? I'm worried about Hercules, Herculean quarterbacks. CJ Stroud is a damn good quarterback, but he's not he's not Pat Mahomes, right? So I think against the Texans, they might put up a game. It might be fun. It might be good to watch, but I'm honestly more concerned with a boring Sunday night football, 13-9 gritty victory out of the Bears, But ideally we get a little more action than that.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's a high bar. That's a high bar that only Patrick Mahomes scares you. I mean, I don't know. The Texans looked really good last week. The Texans looked pretty good last week. First of all, before I even get to CJ Stroud, I mean, Joe Mixon looked like, I don't know, 2019 out here. I mean, I think he ran the ball 30 times, over 150 yards on the ground. Bears, one thing they didn't do last week was contain Tony Pollard that well, which, I don't know, concerns me a little bit when you think about Tony Pollard and how he did last year with the Cowboys. I think that Joe Mixon sets the tone here in this game for the Texans. I think CJ Stroud, I mean, there's so many weapons on this team. Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, Nico Collins. I think he picks apart the Bears defense so respectfully. I think Caleb Williams does have a better second game. I think Caleb Williams will look better, but I think this is a Super Bowl contending Texans team that's not going to realize they're on a different level than a
What? Say it.
I'm not going to say they're not rebuilding, but they're like first year of the rebuild Bears.
I gotta get on a week 3 I told you so podcast.
I do find it funny how you talk about the Bears as if like they're coming off of back-to-back Super Bowls.
Yeah, only one that scares me is
It's talking about CJ
Not defensively.
as if he's Caleb Williams. Like he's just some cute little up-and-coming quarterback that's stepping to the established vet that's won multiple big games. Listen, this is a tough game for the Bears. After Caleb Williams, especially, I don't know. I think CJ Stroud is gonna rip apart your team. Sadly, I think he's probably listening to this right now, and he's just gonna say "screw you, Lucas," and put up 400 yards and 5 touchdowns just because.
CJ Stroud is not a guy that I fear. He's got to show me. Look, CJ Stroud walks in on Sunday night and carves up the Bears defense. He's one of those guys, right? But I've got the diamond tester out on CJ Stroud. It's not lighting up.
I do think the Bears defense will keep it a close game.
I don't think so.
A respectable game.
I will say the Bears defense has come a long way since we started the beginning, last season.
But also, the Bears defense made Will Levis look like a serviceable quarterback, like an elite, like a pretty above average quarterback for the better part.
For like a quarter and a half. For a quarter and a half, Will Levis put up 17 points.
You can't get mad at a defense for making a quarterback.
I think the important thing is Eberflus. I'm not a big fan of Eberflus as a coach, but what he showed last week was that they can adjust and they can modify their approach both on defense and special teams to find a way to win. That's something the Bears have not been able to do for as long as I can remember, which is find a way to win games that they're not supposed to. They were down 17-0, and they were able to come back, not because their rookie quarterback was lighting it up, not because DJ Moore and Keenan Allen had a great game, but because of special teams and defense. Having said all that, I still think the Texans are going to win. I look. I think Caleb Williams is going to be a great NFL quarterback one day. That day is not today. I think he will have a better game than last week.
Yeah.
I think C.J. Stroud, had a good game last week, but he wasn't even full C.J. Strouding.
No,
you know what I mean?
no.
He was probably looking forward to week 2. This is really, I think this is the first time the Texans have been on Sunday night since the Deshaun Watson era, probably. So I think this is going to be a statement game. This Texans team is a Super Bowl ready team. I had them getting the number 1 seed. I think they're going to make their statement in front of the whole country. I think the Bears defense, unfortunately, is going to be the recipient of that statement. And I think the Texans are going to put up a lot of points. I think the Bears might have a good second half to claw their way back in, but I'll say Texans win 31-21, or 31-24. I'll say it's still a one-score game. But any before in our last couple minutes here, Lucas, any hot takes or predictions for the Bears this season? Will Caleb Williams win Rookie of the Year in your opinion?
I'm not going to say he's going to win Rookie of the Year. I think week 1 concerned me just a little bit for his Rookie of the Year case. I can say though for the Bears, though, we will win the North. I think that's a given at this point. And I say this, Lions 0-1, Vikings, they've got Sam Darnold football.
Lions won.
Oh, Lions won. Oh, Lions won the game. Okay, barely. Right, they went to overtime. I'm not too concerned about the Lions, to be honest. I think last year we played them. We played the Lions in 2 games last year, and we looked better than them both. Right? I mean, they came back on us the first game, and I think we put belt to ass that second game. Right? And now I think Vikings. Sam Darnold's not taking you to the promised land, and then with Jordan Love out for a few games, I think it's also not looking too great. So I think Bears are winning the North. You could stamp it. Caleb Williams will be better. This defense will be a top 5 defense in the league this year. To complement that, we'll have a top half offense, and I think that's all we need.
Wait, so let me ask you this. Nick Wright had the Bears going to the Super Bowl. Are you willing to make that jump right now?
Did he really?
He does have the, yeah.
People are
I will say you let us sneak into the playoffs. You let us get one. You let us get one more. You let Caleb get to feeling playoff football. It's scary.
Anything can happen.
Okay, so so NFC Championship then.
I'm saying we'll win the division, and I think we'll win our first game in playoffs at least. Okay. At least, yeah, we're going to the championship. We're going to the Super Bowl, baby.
The Madden Super Bowl.
But our time is running out a little bit. But thank you so much, Lucas, for coming on the show, talking the Bears.
Thank you, fellas.
I would love to have you back soon.
Yeah, let me know.
But we'll be back on the show next week talking predictions, week 3, and everything else to come. My name is Arjun Ryan.
I'm Camille Manning.
I'm Ron Patel.
Say your name.
And I'm Lucas.